This is a little decoration. Just trying to look for the busy.
I'm sorry. Sorry. I don't have a full tub of these days, so it's just me.
I have to sort myself. All right, then turn.
Oh no, the speaker will take up, so I'm just gonna go over there. Thank you, sir. Wait, you're gonna do it like that? Yeah, because she's not in the room.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You better be sorry. Abre, Dalton.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for this Mandana Task Force press conference. This is a continued effort on behalf of the governor and led by Lieutenant Governor Ray Tenorio and of course Chief of Police Jared Cruz in fighting really for our community and for the safety and health of the people of Guam. And so without further ado, I'd like to Lieutenant Governor. So today we have with us, Lieutenant Governor Ray Tenorio. We have with us Chief Jared Cruz of GPD. We have with us the Deputy Director of Guam Behavioral Health. We have the Director of Customs and Quarantine, Jim Donald. We have with us Officer Perez with Customs and Quarantine also. Also to Lieutenant Governor's right, we've got John Fernandez, Superintendent of the Department of Education. And of course our esteemed colleagues from the legislature, Senator Will Castro and Senator and so they.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, everyone here, we love the people of Guam. We love our families. We love every person living in this island. But this is our war on drugs. We have been working in tandem with all the law enforcement agencies, the federal agencies, autonomous, military, lines. Everybody's been working in tandem to build a great public safety team for years. But we decided, and we crafted the Mandana Drug Task Force executive order some time ago, the Criminal Justice Task Force previously, and everything has been building on everything else. And this progress that we've been making with the law enforcement, criminal justice, and the education campaign to try to raise awareness of drugs is going to get a shot in the arm. The work that we're about to do is about to show, for lack of a better word, the dark side of reality. As you know, as many of you know, and many of our people and our families know, the reality is not pretty. There are people who are losing their lives, they're losing their livelihoods, they're losing their family members, and drugs is a scourge that can be prevented and can be treated, and we're about to make the step in that direction now with a new perspective. We're taking the gloves off when it comes to showing the reality of drugs and what consequences it has. I met with the Superintendent John Fernandez and a number of different individuals in the education system, our Chief of Police, Customs, Behavioral Health, and every other stakeholder that we can bring, especially the legislature, because this is a collaborative effort. That's what Mandana is about, is working together. So the ads that you're about to see flipped over are some of the things that we think the rest of the community needs to see. This is not, we're taking off the sort of the varnish here and showing you the reality of the world that some people are finding. And some of this stuff, frankly, is news to me as well. But these are real life situations here on Guam. So if you would, these folks can go ahead and turn over those signs so we can see what they look like. So starting from the right, moving left, a lot of people use social networking systems. Before I had the best friend, now I have a junkie. Basically, don't mess with your life. Don't mess your life up. There's a number of approaches here to try to get prevention, treatment, interventions, suicide prevention, peace, the Guam Behavioral Health and Wellness, Mandana Drug Task Force, and of course Guam Police Department, the Governor's Office. The next one we have is one that I really thought was amazing. I never thought I would lose my virginity in a place like this. Again, the message is pretty remarkable. The third one is even more astounding. My girlfriend would do anything for me, so I made her sell her body. These are just a few of the images that we would like to get to some of the people in our community. We know there's going to be a number of people in our society who will find this to be offensive. And you know, folks, I find it offensive too. That's why I've served my entire career in public safety. We've done everything we can, and I think if you look at Einstein's definition of insanity, if you do the same thing over and over again and expect a different result, that's insane. We have to look at different approaches to telling the reality of people's lives and how it hurts them, how it hurts their future, and how it is to overcome the stigma. And my last comments are, I just met with John Fernandez and the Chief of Police on collaborating going forward on the school system, making sure that the police department's Mandana drug force, as well as the Department of Education, are collaborating to make sure that we have a good system in place to help protect our kids and our employees. And just this morning, this will be my last point, I went to the New Beginnings proclamation and I told them the same thing I'll tell you, that every individual has a choice to make. We all do. Everything we do leads us to an outcome, leads us to where we find ourselves. We want to empower individuals with knowledge, and the reality is right behind you. And it's in your lives, and a lot of people understand this. This is our war on ICE, and this is our war on drugs, and we're going to take it, making sure that we do everything in our power to save the people of Guam as much misery as we possibly can. So thank you very much. At this point, William?
Good afternoon, everybody. And my message to the people of Guam is to echo the sentiments of the Lieutenant Governor. Earlier this year, in the month of February, the Governor signed the executive order commissioning the Mandana Drug Task Force. And through the help of other entities in the public safety arena, with the help of Guam Customs and Quarantine, the Department of Corrections, the Port Authority Police, and the Airport Police, along with my narcotics officers, we put the drug task force together, and that was great. They're doing a lot of good work in the community to interdict drugs in our community. But with what you see here this afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, this is yet another step to even take something that's good and make it better. And by that, I mean, rather than being reactive, in dealing with people who are already using drugs, now we're being proactive. And these shock ads is our attempt to get in front of the problem so that we can convince people and show them of what the dangers of doing drugs can be in the community. And that's what this unveiling is about. It's about not just being reactive with the efforts of the Mandana Drug Task Force and the law enforcement community, but it's being proactive as well and trying to get in front of the problem so that we're not dealing with this on the back end. So to that point, Lieutenant Governor, I want to thank you. I want to thank the other law enforcement entities for collaborating on this initiative. And I will tell you, there are only more good things to come as we deal with this war on drugs and we continue to fight this evil that's poisoning the very fabric of our community. You know, we as Guamanians, there's so much that we hold near and dear, and this poison that we're dealing with, this epidemic of ICE, if you is wearing away at that fabric. So we are looking to interdict some of that, and this is just one of those many steps that we're going to be taking. Thank you.
And as you know, the Mandana Drug Task Force has partnered with a number of different agencies. One of those agencies that they'll be partnering with in the future is the Department of Education. So with that, Mr. John.
First of all, thank you, Lieutenant Governor, and thank you, Chief. Last weekend, I believe, I sent a text message to the Lieutenant Governor, and I said, you know, we've been conducting our own drug sweeps at our school campuses. We've been watching the work of the task force as it's been out in the community, out in the media, and seeing what's been going on. And you know, my request was to really help us to coordinate more and collaborate more, because I think as we go further into this process, we see the law enforcement side, we see the administrative side as agencies start to look internally at the conduct of employees. But there is also a rehabilitative side that I know we mentioned with New Beginnings, and there's also an educational component that we'd like to see also happen at the same time. You know, we are the largest agency, 4,000 employees in the Guam Department of Education. We have about 30,000 students. And so we know that every time we go out into a school and do these types of operations, we're not trying to find, we're not looking to find, and we're hoping that we don't find any issue on our campuses. But when we do, we have to ensure that everybody knows there are consequences, everyone knows there are choices that need to be made in everyone's lives, and our students, now that we're back in school, are going to see all this. So my request to the Lieutenant Governor was really to help us also be coordinated on the educational side, so that we can get the message out that we're talking about what kids are seeing. We're helping our teachers communicate with our students to know that what's happening in the papers, when you see law enforcement active, that there is a preventative side, that you can make these choices to avoid drugs, or if you're involved in it, if there's something going on, to seek help and to do it before before you get identified, or before we take action proactively to try to make sure our campuses are drug free. In my experience, and I expressed this to the both of them, is that when you get face to face with an individual, even let's say an employee, I mean, you're talking about your livelihood, you're talking about your family, you're talking about all the things that you care about getting wrapped up in this issue that you have with this disease. And if it's this addiction to ICE, it's something that we're not wishing on anybody in this community. But seek help now. Let's figure out how we can help you. Otherwise, there are serious consequences, and I'm very glad to see that the task force has been very active in going out there and making sure that those consequences are known. So, again, we just want to be a part of this conversation. And on the educational standpoint, I know these messages that you see behind us are they're very graphic and they're very forward. But we do need to make sure that we are teaching our students and our employees and everybody in our community that there are real consequences, not just from law enforcement, but for the impact that drugs will have on each and every one of our lives, and not just the individual, but all those that are connected through family, through friends on this small island of ours that we want to help and we want to see successful in the future. So thank you for allowing us to be part of this conversation, and we look forward to continuing this fight against drugs. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you, Superintendent. So shifting our focus a little bit to sort of the helping side of sort of this equation, and kind of being able to wrap our arms around the people who provide them with the care that they need to address this addiction. I'd like to ask Mr. Bennett now to talk about the program.
Thank you, Ann. First of all, Lieutenant Governor, thank you so much for taking charge on this epidemic that we are experiencing here on Guam. And we're calling it an epidemic because it is growing quite a bit. Thanks to the chief and all the law enforcement individuals in this room, all our partners, nonprofit organizations, who are also collaborating with us in the education system and the legislature as well. My message is very simple. You don't have to get caught, okay, to get into the Mandana program. you can call our hotline at 647-8833 and we will help you. Don't wait to get caught. If you are suffering from a substance abuse, or you have an addiction problem, if you have a family member that you'd like to help, call us. We are there to help you. Don't wait to get caught. We can get on top of this very quickly with the help of the community, with the help of our partners, and the other agencies, the people who care about our island. I am glad to be part of this program on the treatment side. The governor, when he put the proclamation together, the program together, not only did he think this through, but he went even further and said, you know what, we got to help the people that we catch, and that we not only look at a punitive way to handle this, but a treatment way as well. So the governor was with us this morning at our New Begin proclamation for Substance Abuse Month of September. And we had a lot of good feedback with our people, our partners, and our peer specialists. It is growing, and it is growing in a way that we are hopeful that our people are going to take action against this really evil drug that has entered our society. We need everybody's help, and we are here to provide treatment. So again, don't wait to get caught. Don't wait to get arrested. We're here, we're ready, we're available to help you. And we, again, appreciate the Lieutenant Governor's efforts, the Mandana program, GPD, and all our partners. And we look forward to continued support from our island community. Thank you.
So I'd like to pass the baton over to Senator Ward Pastor, who has talked about some of the health methods that you can.
Sure, I can speak for myself. First of all, thanks. Thank you, Governor and Chief, for the opportunity to participate. This is one example where you don't need another law. Instead, you need just the opportunity to unify in our stance against this terrible thing that's plaguing the island. And so it's bold, and it's a direct reflection of your definitive leadership, Governor, wanting to be inclusive. And so if there's anything we can do to provide that kind of policy support, or even in just that sense of encouragement, we're all in. So thank you so much for taking on the challenge and being inclusive. I appreciate it. You're welcome.
Thank you. Again, thank you, Governor and Chief, and for being a part of this. I think for me, not so much just as a policymaker, but also as a mom, it's very important in having a teenager. But even beyond that, being a daughter and a niece, I'm sure it's touched a lot of us in our lives. And I think now coming out and stepping out in front and not being afraid and hiding it in the closet anymore, to come out and talk about it, we can actually hit it head on and just finally do something about this problem. So thank you for that.
And I'll say one more thing, kind of closing this up. Boy, thank you very much for being the MC for today. You know, I'm not talking from the standpoint of some lofty position of Lieutenant Governor. I'm talking from a guy whose immediate family member has used drugs. That's other lives. I don't look at this through rose-petal glasses of somebody else as being a victim. My family is my immediate family has been touched by ice. There's a lot of families who have been there. We all see this. And so I hope that the end result of this is not just some anger or tears that you see from when you see these images, because this is pretty hard stuff. I hope that someone says, I'm not going to let that happen to my son. I hope it means that some lady or man is going to call behavioral health. I hope it's not going to result in someone dying because they waited too long, because they got high and did something that they didn't have to do. I really hope that more lives, more families will be helped, because we love our families. We love the people we know that are using drugs, but find the courage to finally make a call and say, my pari or my mully or my daughter or my son or my husband or my wife, my boyfriend, my girlfriend, someone in your family is using drugs, help them find a way, because if we can stop that one person, then maybe their lives will be a little bit better. And sometimes I'll end with this, it's tough love, but it's still love. You need to help them, they need to help themselves. They can't find themselves to do that. Help them find their own way. because we don't want to see them hurt. We don't want to see them in jail. We don't need more police officers or jail cells. We need to have people getting treatment. And we don't want to see them fired, just like John said. We don't want to find it, but the reality is there. We have to take off the blinders and look at the reality. And when we do that, we'll truly help the people.
And I apologize, sir. I neglected to mention that Ms. Rosemary Legalu is a caseworker from Oasis, and she's here with us today, as is Valerie Reyes, the director of Guam Lighthouse Recovery Center. And I did want to save them for last, though, because they are the folks who are they are the folks who help our brothers and sisters.
Hi, everybody. After they're arrested and processed, something has to happen. And putting them in jail, I'm pretty sure it works for some folks, but not everybody truly gets the help while sitting in a jail cell. So at the Lighthouse Recovery Center, we have the privilege of being a partner of Guam Behavioral Health, and we get to see them come in and completely just wiped out. And just giving them enough time in treatment, we actually get to see the light come back in to their eyes, and their family members thank us, and it's just an amazing thing to see the transformation. Because as a community, I think we need to come together and say, you know what, enough's enough. We're not gonna be taken over by this drug. We refuse to have it in our community. If we all know somebody who's suffering from drug use, and yet we don't say anything. And I think that we need to remove that idea and say, you know what, there is help, there's new beginnings, there's the Lighthouse, there's Oasis, there's Sanctuary for Adolescents. And we don't want to just wait until they're from adolescence and then they become adults, and then family members are calling because they don't know what to do. We know that treatment works. There's research and there's data, and it is a proven fact that treatment does work. If a person is finding themselves struggling with drugs or alcohol, I mean, there's all these phone calls, and this today just kicks off the recovery month, and there are hundreds and hopefully I can say thousands of us in recovery today, and we are productive members of our community. We pay taxes. We've made mistakes in the past, but today we're here and we're looking for jobs. We want to give back to our community because recovery worked for us. And so I'd like to just ask if we could all come together and support that idea. Well, because enough's enough. We want our community back. We want our traditions back. We want to be the beautiful island that we are, with respect and all of that. Because when drugs get in the picture, it takes everything away. Dignity, self-respect, all of that. And we, over at the Lighthouse, there's a beautiful team that we all work together, picking up the pieces with them. We don't say, oh, there's your piece. We say, let's pick it up together. Let's make your picture better again, because we know that you've been suffering. So if we can get more support, that would be awesome. And we're just excited to see where this is going to go, because I think these shock ads are pretty amazing to the adolescents that parents may be using, because they're taught at a certain age that, hey, don't say anything, and we want to erase that. We want to say, you know what, my mom needs help, and we can go from there.
Good.
So thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Rosemary?
Hi, I'm so sorry my supervisor was not able to make it today. She's sick, so she said, you have to go. Okay. So what is it for? So thank you so much for, putting all this together. I'm a caseworker at Oasis, working, really closely with people with drugs and alcohol, with the collaboration, of course, Guam Behavioral, Lighthouse, GPD'S. It's a challenging work, however, it's very rewarding to see people really succeed in their lives. At the Oasis, we have outpatients and inpatient clients, and we really try to work with the clients, helping them to rebuild their lives, and also, especially relationship-wise, with their families, for connecting them back. Because, it's really something that's happening. As you all said, it's a reality here in Guam, and we really want to help our people to get better from this, drug or alcohol, pain that they're going through. At Oasis, there are a lot of successful stories, and of course there are also some that fall and get up. It's a reality. It's something. It's a lifelong process. So I'm just happy that I'm able to work with them one-to-one, or maybe like in group therapy or like those kind. As I say, it's challenging, but when you see the result at the end, it makes you feel like, yes, you're contributing back. And when you see the clients also move forward and give back to the community when they're successful. So thank you so much for all this. Let's just collaborate, all the agencies, and Lieutenant Governor, if all the agencies here, if we collaborate together, we will see successful stories.
Thank you.
So I think we can, can we get your phone number and your phone number?
For the Lighthouse Recovery Center, as Deputy Director said, you don't need to have a criminal case. You can call if you're struggling today, 477-7671, Lighthouse Recovery Center.
Our phone number is 646-4601.
Thank you.
So I'd like to open the floor to a few questions. Questions?
Where are the ads going to be placed? Or what's the plan?
Plan is to use them and well, there's a good start. So we're probably going to be using the electronic